Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at 3 different ways of converting the coordinates in it can be either a shapefile or a CSV, how to convert the coordinates in it from one reference system to the other. So with that out of the way, let's get started. In this first example, we'll be looking at how to convert it in a shapefile. In the first 2 examples, we'll be looking at how to convert the coordinates in a shapefile, and then in the final example, we'll be looking at how to do that in a CSV file. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's first load our shapefile. So down the description below, the data sets I'm using for this particular tutorial will be there. You can follow the link, you can download it, and then you can follow along with me. If you have your own shapefile that you want to use, then knock yourself out, and then you can use that one too. Good. So you go to layer, and then since we are adding a layer to our map interface, we go to add layer, and then since it's a shapefile is a type of vector layer, so we go to add vector layer, and then we navigate to where exactly your data set is. So in my case, the data set is here. Good. So this is where my data is. We go to data, go to district. So first we'll be using the shapefile, and then the final example we'll be using this CSV. So we go to district, and then we select the file with the format, the extension SHP, which is a shapefile. We click on that and then open. Good. And then you just leave it as it is, and then you click add. It sort of adds your shapefile into your map interface, right? So you'll be wondering how we had this OMS standard. Good. You can go to your browser panel. If you don't have a browser panel, you go to view, right? And then you go to panels, and I think, yeah, you click on this browser panel. So after you've done that, you can then how do I? Okay. Good. So you can come to X, Y, and Z tiles, and then you can just drag and drop it in your map interface. Good. That's where you get the OMS. I'll do another tutorials where I'm not using that. This is the default base map for QGIS, but I'm using my own base map, which is an OMS base map. In a different tutorial, I'll take you through how to download the OMS standard. So in this tutorial, this one will be all right. Okay, good. So right now we have our shapefile in our map interface. What we do is that you right click, you go to open attribute table, and then you have the data in your shapefile. Okay. So when we look at this shapefile in particular, you realize that we have point X and Y. It is in a particular coordinate system, right? It is in a particular coordinate. This is in Accra, Ghana National Grid coordinate system, right? That's a coordinate system for Ghana in particular, right? But I want to convert it from Ghana National Grid to a different coordinate system, like the WGS84 coordinate system. So how do we do that, right? So the first method is very simple. But if you hover over the district file, you realize that you have 32630. Right? So this is our current coordinate system, right? But we don't want it this way. We want it in WGS84. So how do we do that? The first way is actually pretty simple. We need our toolbox, right? So how do we get the toolbox? We go to layers. You go to sorry, no, you don't go to layers, you go to views rather. You go to toolbar, and then where is it? Let's go to panels rather and see it was there. Okay, yes, this is in panels. Good. So you go to panels, you go to processing toolbox, and then we click on processing toolbox, and then voila, we have we have our toolbox, right? So in our toolbox, we'll go to, you go to vector table, okay? You click on vector table, then you double click on the add X, Y fields to your layer, okay? You have different algorithms to give you different results. So you can look at them in your free time, but in this case, we'll be dealing with add X, Y fields to your layer. We double click, and then coordinate system. So right now we are choosing WGS84. That will be 43 to 26, but you can choose whatever coordinate system that you see fit. You can come here and then you choose whatever coordinate system that suits your fancy, right? Good. So field prefix. You can choose how to prefix your field, right? So if you type anything here, what it will do is that as a default, it will give you your coordinates as X and Y field. So if you want something X and Y, you can then add something there. So if I add chords here, it will do chords. The result I'll get will be chords underscore X or chords underscore Y, right? But I'll just leave it as it is. And then you can create as a you can add it as a field. You can save it on your desktop, right? But in my case, I just want to create it as a temporary layer. What it means as a temporary layer is that if I close my QGIS, I'll lose that information. But if you don't want to lose that information, I would advise that you save it on your system. Okay, so then we run our algorithm, and then we have a field called added fields. Okay, so what you will see is that it keeps the initial all the information in our original shapefile, right? It keeps all the information. The only difference is that it adds the X and Y to it, right? It adds our X and Y to it. So we had our coordinates in Ghana National Grid, right? How do I know it's Ghana National Grid? Because I know how we had that information, right? So depending on where you had the information or how you had the information, you will know the particular coordinate system that your coordinate is in. If you want to convert it from one particular coordinate system into, in this case, WGS84, then this is how you do it. So this is the first method of doing it, which is very easy, right? You have our latitude and longitude, or longitude and latitude. Good. So what you do is that you make sure you have your process toolbar open. You go to vector table, you go to add X and Y fields, and then just like that, you choose your shapefile that you want to convert, and just like that, you have your X and Y field. As easy, simple as ABCD. So so that'll be it for the first example. Since we're done with the first example, we'll now move to the second example. The second example is a little bit it's a little bit involving. So bear with me. Okay, so with the second example, what we're going to do is we are going to sort of clone our shapefile, right? We'll go in and we'll create a duplicate. We are doing it so that we don't mutate our original shapefile. That's the reason why we are creating a copy of it. Good. So with this, we right click, you go to open attribute table. Good. We now have our open attribute table. So what we want to do is that we, just like we did the first example, we want to convert the point X and point Y into its equivalent X and Y in in a particular reference system. So in our case, it's going to be the 4326 EPSG coordinate system. Right. So to do that, we first we'll have to come to open field calculator, right? So we'll click on open field calculator. Now we are creating a new field. We are going to name our new field. We can name it X and Y. So just name it X, right? The output field, we want a decimal. Okay, so we'll come and then we'll make it a decimal, right? And then the precision. Now this is the decimal point. How many decimal places do we want? I would say let's go with 6 or 7. Okay, let's go with 7 decimal points. Okay, and then here in our expression and text field, we are going to So just write this in it, or better still, in the data set below, I'll paste this in a TXT file. So you can open the TXT file in a data set in the description below, and then you can copy and paste it in your expression. So here we have X. Most of the fields here can be found here. So if we go to geometry, right, then we scroll down to X. Scroll down to X. Good. Scroll down to X. You realize that it retains the X coordinates of a point geometry, or the X coordinate of a centroid of a non-point geometry. Good. So that is where the X comes from. The transform we are transforming it from the current coordinate system into a particular coordinate system, right? Then we have our geometry function that retains the current geometry that we are the current geometry that we are interested in, right? Then we have line property, a layer property. So we want to change the SRS property. That's the coordinate reference system property. We are changing it to this coordinate system. So you can change the coordinate system, right? You can see the preview here. So we have our X in the longitude format, right? So I press OK. When I press OK, we now have our X in the longitude format. So we'll do the same thing for the Y. We click on OK, and then we have our Y. So we are going to compare them. We're going to compare what we've done here to what we did in the first example and see that if we are right or not. Okay. So we have this, right? So we have Buhari Donkwa, and then we have the X. The X here was -167. We have -1.167, and then here we have 5.337. We have here 5.337. So yeah, we have both of our coordinate system is the same. So depending on which process you use, which format you use, you realize that yes, you get the same results. Okay, good. So to recap, in the first example, we use the toolbar method. In the second example, we use the field calculator method. Good. So the third example will be our CSV file method. Okay, so this is our CSV file. Okay, so in our CSV file, we have very simple fields. We have the northern field, we have the eastern field, and then we have the ID. Very simple fields. So we want to convert the northern and eastern into X and Y coordinates. Okay, so in order to do that, we first have to import our CSV into our map interface, right? In order to do that, so yeah, we go to layer, and then since it's a CSV, I'll go to add layer. Since it's a CSV, we are going to a delimited text layer, right? Since it's a CSV, it's a delimited text layer. So we go add delimited text layer. So yeah, where exactly it is in our there is it details.csv. So again, all the data sets we are using is down the description below. So you can go there, you can follow the link, and then you can download the data sets. But if you have your own data sets, you can use that one. Okay, so we open it. The file format is a comma separated value. We have the X, which is the easterns, the Y, which is the northerns. Okay, good. It is in this. It is in Ghana National Grid, right? Okay, so we have the default of our particular coordinate system based on the Ghana National Grid system. Okay, so I think everything is okay here. So all we have to do is we add it, right? We have to, good, we've added it. Let me So we can, good. So here is our details, right? It's somewhere in central region in Ghana, right? So if you go to open attribute table, we have what we saw in our CSV, the same thing, right? I think even with this one, you can even use the two methods that we did. I haven't tried it, but you can try it and see if it will work for those two methods, those two examples. Okay, but let's go with what I had in mind. So we go to export, we go to save feature as. Okay, save feature as. We're going to leave it as a comma separated value, right? Good. We're going to change the CRS. We're going to make it into this 4326, right? Depending on the project you are doing, you can change it to whatever coding system that you want. But for this tutorial sake, we are going to use this particular coding system. All right, good. So after we've done that, you come here to layer options, all right? With geometry, we convert the geometry to X and Y. So as X and Y, right? And then, oh, sorry, I didn't, the file name. Right. Okay, so we save this, and then so we've saved it in our file. Now our line options, we've converted the geometry into XY, and I think that's all. Right. That is all. Now we click on OK. Click on OK. Then in order to check, go to open. Good. And then voila. We have our XY, right? QG has automatically converted our northerns and easterns into our XY coordinates. Just very simple, very, very simple. Okay. Okay, I tried converting this into a different file format, but I don't think it's possible. So what we can do is that we can go back and then re-add that layer. Okay, we can just go back and re-add that layer. So you go to add delimited, we search. Okay. It's here, and then we have add. I can add it, and then right now you have it in a format that we can use, right? So when we go to open attribute table, right, we have it here. We have our X and Y here, right? So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot in this tutorial. If you have any feedback for me, please write it down in the description below. And also, if I will appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching the video. I hope it was helpful to you. And then yeah, thank you, and then see you again next time. Bye.